All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Renown Revenue Cycle Roundup. My name is Bertram Lansico, and if we are a new or recent connection, hello, this is how I look, this is how I sound. But I've been involved in HIM and revenue cycle recruiting and placing and talking to people for close to 15 years. I first got started as a hungry person. It took me 3.5 years to get my first recruiting position. It just happened to be in revenue cycle, but I fell in love with this industry. And after working in corporate for around 7 to 8 years, and then started my own staffing and recruiting firm. The last 4 years, we've been helping and building up other companies. If there's a company you see that posts a job, we either help them with a salesperson, a recruiter, or a coder, even some health systems as well, right? And some vendors. But now we're finally getting into the place of renowned talent to having our own coding staff. And there's a lot to come to that because we're not just looking to do what everybody else is doing, right? I mean, we're profitable as an entity, everything's going fantastic, but we really want to affect change. So I have a meeting, an on-site meeting next week, the 10th, and that's going to be big. And as soon as we get confirmation that this new program is a go, ladies and gentlemen, join me in changing the industry and a lot of the requirements that we have, especially around the 3 or so years experience to getting your first coding job. But you know what? Not going to say any more about that until until that meeting takes place and we get going. But I am so excited. Today we have a fantastic guest to the roundup. And if you haven't already, feel free to just share with us as to where you are and how the weather is. I'm in Florida, in the Tampa Bay or Clearwater, Florida area, and it is humid. We're in 85-degree weather, and we're getting back to into our regular seasonal pattern. So, the fall weather, the spring weather has gone bye-bye, and we're getting back into that warmer weather, and pretty soon we're going to have, rain almost every single day, leading up to our rainy season that goes from, I believe, June to November. And usually the big storms come when? They usually come around that November time. But yeah, things are going fantastic. Pretty good weather. It's more positive than anything. And I can't wait to get speaking with our guest that we have here today because Laidy Martinez is here. She's on the line all the way from California. So there's a 3 or so hour time difference. Really appreciate her being here. And I know because of Easter weekend, a lot of people are off, traveling. I'm getting a lot of out of offices from clients, and that's absolutely fine. But we're still here, and they can always watch this, or you can always see this on a replay. Okay, Christy, I see you, a regular attendee of the roundup. Hey, how are you doing? Thank you, thank you. We have Elizabeth from Greensboro, North Carolina, 68 degrees, windy and partly sunny. Send some of that cooler weather down here. Melissa, I know we're a recent connection. Thank you for joining the roundup. Angela, hello, how are you doing? Cool, and let's go ahead and get started. So today, as we do each and every roundup, we're going to speak, it's a place where employers, employees, SMEs, vendors, and anyone that's involved in revenue cycle can network, learn more about our industry, learn more about the careers and the journeys that happen in our industry, as well as talk about opportunities and ask me a question on the Mr. B section. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead. I want to put this, we call it a sizzle. Well, Bertram, what's a sizzle? A sizzle is what the employers and vendors use to best summarize somebody's experience. So, we can go ahead and send a manager, let's say the person's whole resume, but we'd like to summarize it. And in that summary, we called it the sizzle. So in this sizzle, I'm going to put it in the comments. Hopefully you can see it. So I'm going to go on LinkedIn and make sure I can put that in there. If I put it just on here, I think it's just going to go to YouTube for some reason. And if you are open to opportunities, please let us know. And what we have a section towards the end. I call it the candidate showcase, and we're going to pull up all of your requests as to, hey, I'm open for an opportunity. So share your name, your location, and email address, how they can get a hold of you. We do have recruiters and employers that do watch the roundup or at least watch the replays. So I'd like to put all of those towards the end. So let's say somebody just joined, they can go ahead and put that information, but you don't have to wait till the end to comment. Feel free to go ahead and comment at any time. And I just went ahead and I put that in the description right now. So you can go ahead and see that. And try not to have your introduction be too long, but let them know who you are, how they can get in contact with you, your location, because that's very important, as well as your skill set. And if you have experience, if you don't have experience, the credentials you have, but try to make sure it's not too long. I see in the comments sometimes the ends of the comments get cut off. It's still going to be within the meeting, and that's the great thing about this. This is recorded. It's going to be on YouTube for sure. It's also going to be on LinkedIn Live. So if you utilize the same link, you can go in and you can watch it YouTube style at any time. Okay, cool. So today we're going to speak to Laidy about her experience, her story, and how she became a medical coder. I should have changed that to medical coding expert or subject matter expert, because Laidy has quite a few credentials that she doesn't tout about. But let's do that on the next slide. I'm going to share some open jobs and opportunities. I'm also going to answer a question live, as well as have the candidate showcase, and we have open networking at the end. But usually towards the end, we just have to like wrap it up. I try my best to have this to be around an hour, but if we go over, my patience with each and every one of you. So today we have Laidy Martinez. She is a healthcare professional with over 14 years experience, currently a coding supervisor at Hoag Health System, passionate about mentoring and supporting colleagues and aides the AAPC VILT students. As a teaching assistant, she's also a treasury officer for the Orange Irvine chapter and an AAPC billing advisory committee member. Actively contributes even some of the groups that I happen to champion on LinkedIn. Laidy's putting, inspiring comments and all those things. And she does have a full-time job, ladies and gentlemen, right? And we all wonder where these people get this time. But you know what, though? Just as I posted a little bit earlier today, hopefully you had a chance to see it. Sometimes you need to be what you are requesting in the world. Let's say you're looking for positivity and you're looking for that little inspiration. You know what? You go ahead and you offer that inspiration. I had a post this morning and kind of talked about some of my struggles early on in my career. But you know what? I was also promoting someone because they just got their first coding job, but they're also guiding other people as to who they should connect with and all of those things. When you see that, it's just so inspiring, right? She's also fluent in Spanish, and her passion lies in empowering others for healthcare success. I just love that. That's a great intro. I didn't do that, but she had a really great bio. So let's go ahead and let's bring Laidy to the stage. Hey, Laidy, how are you doing?
Good. How are you? Super excited to be here on your podcast.
Thank you, and welcome to the roundup. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Even before you got involved in revenue cycle or thinking about coding, we reached out and I connected with you. And I was like, hey, what do you want to talk about? And you're like, well, I want to talk about my story, right? How I was an immigrant, how I became a medical coder to subject matter expert. So share with us your immigrant story and as you came to America.
Sure. So that's something that I think now I've been translating more, like open up myself more. Why did I came in and how did I got here, right? So my dad came to immigrate back in 1987. So he left us behind in Mexico for almost 10 years. He was working back and forth, but he always wanted us to bring it together. But because he didn't want us to risk us and go to the journey, odyssey of immigrate, so we had to wait until our migration status will be resolved. So we came in 1997, my whole family. And then I went to school. I was already 17 years old. I only went to school for 1 year in high school, but I didn't finish it. Luckily and unluckily, wrong choices, but good choices, I become pregnant at 18 years old. And then I didn't went back to school. And then I've been trying to support my son, and everything started there. So I was a delivery driver back in 2007. Back in 2007, and I was pregnant for my second son. And then my partner told me, he was like, you can't be doing this job. You can't be doing this. You have to do something for yourself. And I was like, you're right. So after my son was born, I went back to school. I chose to go medical billing and coding, practice management, and that's where I started doing my billing. So, but it was just because my dad had really this vision that he wanted it to give us a better opportunity. He wanted us to provide something. And I've always felt like I left it kind of down to my father because I didn't finish the high school, right? So that kind of always stayed with me. I was like, he wanted it something, he wanted it to give us a better opportunity, and then I'm not making the best out of these opportunities that he's given me. So I was like, yes, I need to change my life. And that was a game changer because I started working as a primary care, and then from there things start changing and I start challenging myself. but the struggles are real when it comes to language barriers. And I have
Mm,
been more open when it comes to that, because I feel like we don't talk about it, but there's a big struggle right there, and we have to sometimes
mm,
do more work than the normal, because sometimes when I don't understand something, and it still happens, I had to do the translation. I had to find more information. I had to do my.
mhm.
You had to kind of always tell my kids, do your due diligence, and they always remind me, like, have you done your due diligence? And I was like, yes. So
Yes.
it's a struggle, but yeah, that's how I started it, and it means so much to me when I shared that, because going back to my father, he
Mm.
I lost my father 2 years ago, but finally I'm making his dream, what the dream that he had for him, that I'm about to accomplish in a few months, graduating for college.
Oh, wow. That's so hey, keep us posted on that. We're not
Yeah,
gonna jinx it or anything. I mean, I'm not saying you're not gonna finish, but just keep us posted
yeah,
on that so we can congratulate you. But I don't think I ever really spoke about this publicly. Thank you for sharing that story. Awe-inspiring because myself as well. So my family, some of my family's from the Caribbean, right? So
yeah,
the other side, the other side of the Gulf of Mexico, and love them. Doing a
yeah,
lot of them are doing great things, but some of them they just came to America with their papers all legal. We're not talking
yeah,
about anything illegal here, but they're just here. Working, let's say 7-Eleven and all this other kind of stuff. I'm
yeah,
like, nothing wrong with McDonald's or 7-Eleven, but push yourself to be the manager, district manager. Like,
yeah.
push yourself.
I
Hey, they
agree.
have education. They're offering these things. They can help pay for my schooling. Like,
Yeah,
push yourself. Arriving is not making it, right? Really
yes,
trying the best that you can. And, I'll go out into the world and then I'll meet people like, hey, Bertrand, where are you from? I'm like, well, African American technically, but I have
mhm,
family from the Caribbean. And then it all clicks because, my African background is different than an African's African's background, right? And you're able to relate. I even remember in college, I met this gentleman that was from the same island, St. Lucia, and he never told me until I shared. And he said, well, I don't happen to share because people look to me a little bit weird. I'm like, I look at them weird if they're acting weird. I mean,
yes,
let's be that change agent that we're
yes,
looking for out there in the world. And I'm sure you also met a lot of people that were hoping to get into, let's say, revenue cycle or healthcare. And,
yes,
hey, I'm worried about my English. I'm worried about, if they'll make fun of me or they look to me a little bit weird and I got insecure about it. But probably
yes.
you being in that position also inspired them,
Eh,
to
eh,
move forward.
And you're totally right, because when I enrolled to for the course for the medical billing and coding, that's one of the
Hmm.
things that I struggle the most. My insecurities about my accent, and then me able to communicate. And I was like, if I work in a doctor's office, am I going to be able to? People are going to understand me. Those are little things. Those are background
Hmm.
noise. And I remember I asked someone, and as you know, like, I'm starting to do more public engagements and public speaking,
Yes.
or speaking engagements for the chapters, presenting. So last year I went to a retreat from bed sleeper, right? So I
Uh-huh.
had Robert Kaiseker, and we were talking, and then
Mm.
and I asked him, how did you become so good at this, speaking and things like that? And then he's like, well, you can do the same thing. You're good at what you're doing. And I said, yes, but what if people don't like me? What if people do this? What if people, and I start putting so many what if, negative what ifs, right? So
Uh-huh.
and then he says, but what if they do like you? What if they do this? What if they like what you
Mm.
present? What about this? And then he start putting what if, but in positive way. And then he made me thinking, you know what? He's right. It's only on my head that maybe people does think that I'm good, or that I have experience and knowledge, and then I'm just like letting that imposter syndrome kick in, and I'm not gonna let that
Correct.
happen anymore. And I think that's when I start opening myself more. I mean, I was already networking with so many people, but
Correct.
those people, I feel like they were believing more in myself than I was
Yes.
believing. They believe more in me than I believe in myself,
Myself.
and then
Mm.
for that I'm grateful that I have a very good network, that they are very supportive. And a lot of people, there's someone that I know, she always tells me, oh, you're so lucky on this, but I don't consider myself lucky. I consider myself blessed, and I consider myself very persistent. Like, I'm very
Mm.
persistent. I keep looking. If I'm really looking for an answer, or like looking for something specific, I don't give up until I find the answer.
Correct, correct, correct. And you know what? It is somewhat funny because I always joke with people because I'm somewhat of a I'm an immigrant citizen, for a
Yeah,
better way to put it. But also coming to America and in the Caribbean, we don't really speak English. It's
yeah,
not even broken English. It's like a mixture of English and a Creole. It's all these other things, right? But at the same time, not even Americans that are born here really speak like proper English. Okay. Hey, please don't be offended. Just hear me out, right?
it
We all
is.
speak it based upon our location. So let's say you're in Mississippi. That English is going to be different than the English that's in, Atlanta, or all of these different Georgia, I should say, all of these different states and locations. But at the same time, if we're going to let that be a hindrance to us,
Yeah,
how many other people can be inspired by what we can do, or the things
exactly.
that we can try? So I appreciate you, and I'll compliment you. I really appreciate and love your English, and I'm sure some people appreciate and love my English. And for those who
Yeah,
don't, I mean, there are other podcasts or there are
it's
other things that they can tune into. So,
and that's when it comes to I start kind of to my realization that you know what, people are always going to judge you. People are always going to talk.
hmm
Sometimes I always tell people when they know, my friend just kind of returned those words that I always use it. One time I give her an advice to this friend and she's like, oh, they were making fun. I was like, you know what? You're not a dollar bill that everyone's going to like you. So, and then she returned those things that I told her, like, you're not a dollar
correct,
bill. So you have to accept that. Not everyone's going to take you or not everyone's going to like you, but that's totally fine. It's
correct,
okay.
correct. It's all good. It's all good. So, you were, you went, well, you started going to school, but then also you were, getting that you had that billing job. And tell us about your revenue cycle journey as to when you got started, because we started talking about this a little bit and it's really inspiring. So share that with us really quick.
So I started on primary care, like I said, right after finish my medical
Mm-hmm.
billing course for it. It lasts for a year. So I started as a primary care doing. I remember the doctor just interviewed me, and then she said, "Well, can you come back just the next day for maybe half day to see if." She was still not offering me the job, but she liked it. So I remember that time I didn't have a lot of experience on HMOs. I was going to be her biller, charge entry biller, right?
Okay.
So I I didn't know a lot about HMOs, but I went and do my research. Like I'm telling you, like I have this research kind of tray that I'm always researching. If I don't know something, I do my hard work and I go and look for the stuff. Even if I don't know it, I will do my research, and that's all. Sometimes that's all what you need. So when I went to the interview, she was like, "Have you worked in HMOs?" This is the first time I kind of said that I did. I lied to her, and I said, "Yeah, I know HMOs. This I mentioned those HMOs." So I give her that impression that I knew, but I knew that I was going to do my work and I'm gonna, figure out how to work, how to build HMOs. At that time, it was very I didn't have that experience. So I was like, I figure it out once I get there. I'll find a way to know it. And I did. And so she was very impressed. And that day when I went just for half day, she she put me to do answer calls. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought you said bill it. Why do I need to answer phone calls? But oh well, that's part of the job, right? So sometimes you end up doing, and that's what you do when you're working for a private practice. That you end up wearing all the hats that you
Correct.
can do. You do front office, prior authorizations, referrals, billing, coding, everything all at once. Even I think I was at some point I was the office manager, but I never really wanted to give me that. But I think she didn't want to give me that title because, of course, it will maybe have to. I had to ask for more money, but I
Money.
had the
Yep.
keys for the practice. When she was out, I was responsible for all the things. She's like, "You're in charge." I was like, "Okay, but I'm in charge, but I don't have the title." But I had learned at that time that you don't need the title to help others, and then the title is really irrelevant when you really have a passion to help, right? So,
Correct.
and that makes a lot of sense now that I'm a supervisor. Yes, I'm a supervisor, but for me, it is more helping my staff, helping the coders that they need me to be present and to be always there for them. So, but yeah, that's how I started in primary care. I was there for like about I was close to 9 years. I was there
Mm-hmm.
for. So I learned everything. I think all the aspects of the revenue cycle, I learned all of it. Like, I think that if I go back to see where my foundations start, I would say the doctor gave me that opportunity, and I'm always going to be
Mm.
very grateful that because of all the things that I learned with her, I had that foundation, and I had that right foundation. And because of her, someone came in and introduced me to coding, and we have a risk adjustment coder that came and trained the doctor for how to properly document, her notes. And then I started asking her questions. That was back in 2018. And then I started asking questions to the coder, and I was like, how do you become a coder? Or do you, and she started telling me all this about being a CPC, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I want
Boom.
to do that. Like, that's my new challenge. And then I
Boom.
discovered coding. And then that was 2018. I enrolled like right away. It took me a year, but in 2019, that's when I became a CPC.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you got that gem right there. So the very same job that Lady was doing almost everything under the sun, but really also thinking about what she can become, is that same opportunity that she met the coder, the risk adjustment coder at the
Yeah.
time, that helped show her the path. Hey, you want to get this credential, you want to do this, and then you can take the test, and boom, 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 boom. And that's the thing. A lot of folks, I mean, I did it too. I applied to be a recruiter at the big hospital system, right? I
Yeah.
wanted to be there, but that wasn't the job that I got. I got a job over here. But that was actually the job that helped me connect with all of these people, that connected me with my mentor. And then my mentor, I went to work at this company that was in revenue cycle, but almost all of my colleagues went to other companies. They're now, managers. Some of them even have their own coding companies. They're all blowing up. We're blowing up. It's like, it's those foundational steps you realize. It's your hindsight. You realize,
Yes.
that's why I had trouble, and that's why I struggled, because the universe, God, Buddha, Allah, whoever you believe in,
Yeah.
they know exactly where you should be. You just don't know it yet. But
Yes.
when we are able to look back and think, that's exactly why I started there. Because when we spoke with Kimberly Williams, she said the same thing. When we spoke with Sonia Patel, she said the same thing. It's like those
Yes.
foundational steps, and that first job was really the best job
Yes.
for you.
And and I will tell you, when I left that, we didn't finish on very good terms because she was so upset that I was leaving, because I was
Oh,
her go-to person, right? I literally was handling everything. When she was out, I will know the whole entire practice. But it was time for me to move on. It was time
correct.
for me to look for some more, something different, and then, of course, bring a better, stability for my family. That's the ultimate goal, right? You want to make sure that you provide, and you also growing professionally, but you also being supporting your family. So that was my thing. I had that opportunity to become a billing manager on a GI office, and then when I left, she was so disappointed. I was giving her my 2 week notice, and then she was so upset that she's like, "Don't show up tomorrow," and I was like, "Oh wow, okay." So, but I was able to get that opportunity. God, like I'm telling you, like sometimes, like you're saying, like God or whoever you believe, it puts things to you for a reason, right? We didn't talk for over a year, and finally one day I met her on one of the Christmas parties that one of the doctors was doing, and we went because they invited us for the new office that I was working. And I saw her, and then I was like, oh my God, I don't want. And then but then I started thinking, you know what, I need to go and talk to her and to let her know that even though we didn't finish on the best terms, that I will always be thankful and grateful for what she gave me, because she made me this. All the things that I know it because she gave me that opportunity, and for what it's
Correct.
worth, I'm always going to be grateful. And I went and talked to her, and I told her, you know what, I want you to know that I truly, truly am grateful because you gave me an opportunity to become better, the opportunity to not only to provide for my family, but to learn so many things that I didn't know. And then she really truly believed in me, and then she gave me so many things. Not only that, she was a doctor for my parents at that time, and then she
Oh,
was always
wow.
taking care of them. So I told him, like, I'm always going to be grateful for that. And yeah, we end up good at the end. So I was great that I was able to tell her that.
Yeah, it's hard to lose fantastic people when they're so pivotal, because when you have those good people supporting you, and your manager, director, your supervisor, how it is.
Yeah,
It's hard, but you have to love people on their way out, because it's going to happen, and it happens.
it
But
is gonna
just
happen.
love them on their way out. So,
And
okay,
then I
cool.
think good when you see someone growing and then you see them go, but then you see them go for better, and you're
Correct.
like, okay, I'm so happy for that person. I happened to me, but if I see someone, I think I'll always say, you know what? I'm right there for you. I support you, and and the time is for you to fly and go somewhere else and discover the world, and I'll be happy for that person because that
Correct.
you know you can try to just keep things or like take it against them.
Exactly, exactly. Well, share with us that story you were telling me a little bit earlier before the call and before the live about how you went about really looking back as to the sacrifices that your dad made to you getting your high school diploma, but not only that, really taking your career to as far as you can go. Share with us that story real quick.
Okay, so I remember I was telling you that about my high school diploma, and like I mentioned it earlier when we start speaking, I didn't finish my high school, right? So I only have 1 year, but then I have almost 2 years in Mexico because I came when I was 17, so I was already on my, I would say, 11th year in 11th grade on Mexico. In
Correct.
Mexico, they call it second semester, fourth semester of high school. But when I came, I only went there here for a year, and I went back to ninth grade here because that English. So even though
Mm-hmm.
I already kind of know all the classes for math, the basics. So because of that, so then I say, you know what, in 2021. By the way, I was laid off from the billing position, so that's another story. I'll tell you in a little bit. But when I was laid off, because I was laid off, so I say, you know what, I'm gonna enroll to get my high school diploma.
Uh-huh.
But I applied to so many different coding jobs, and I found myself, wow, this is very hard. So I understand the struggle when people are becoming a CPCA. I didn't have my CPCA. My A was removed automatically, right? I passed because I had the billing experience, right? But I understand people when they're saying no one wants to give you an opportunity, especially if you're new. So I understand that. But I can tell you there's other things too that they can affect you to get a first coding job. I experienced one not having the high school diploma. And for the most part, a lot of companies, especially big organizations, that's a requirement. And when it's a
Correct.
requirement, it's something that you need to have. And then I think they will give more opportunities to people that they have a high school diploma and still have the A that having not the A and not high school diploma, right? So
Correct.
I find myself, I got the offer, and we were working on that for the coding job at the hospital, for the Children's Hospital here in Orange County. I found myself without a high school diploma, and they were like, "Oh, you have all your paperwork," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah." It's like, "What about your high school diploma?" And I was like, "Oopsie, I don't have that." I was already
Mm.
enrolled to become, and I said, and the recruiter said, and I'm pretty sure you have experienced that. Sometimes you have to tell them, "Oh, it's a requirement," and unfortunately, if you don't have all the paperwork, we
Yes.
might not be able to give you that position, right? I didn't, and she was already going to that. She was already about to tell me that. And I said, wait, 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 hold it right there. If there's anything you can do, because not only am I the best candidate, I'm the candidate that the company needs. And I
Yes.
start telling her all these things, why it was, why she needed to wait. And I say, if there's anything you can do to help me out, what about an addendum? What about you give me some time? Just give me a time frame. I will finish my high school in less than 6 months. That's all what I need. But you don't want to lose this candidate. You don't want to lose one of the best candidates that you have.
Correct.
And then she was like, you're really telling yourself. Like, let me go talk to HR. She went, talked to HR. Not only that, I called the director and I said, look, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah.
Mm.
Can you help me out? And then I don't know what happened. I don't know if the director called, but when they say yes, I think she did call because she said, I don't know what you said to the director, but she really loves you. She really loves you.
Mm.
And then, and like I said, one thing I can tell everyone, and I'm pretty sure you said the same thing, you need to sell yourself. You
That's right.
have that opportunity, and that opportunity, just be confident that you are the best one and tell them why you're the best one. What can you bring to them? And I was very confident with that. I knew what I could bring. I knew my expertise. Not only I have multiple credentials, I say I can know how to code this. I understand coding guidelines, blah 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 blah. And then they went for it, and they gave me an addendum for 6 months. I finished my high school in 4, and then she even said, I didn't, the recruiter said, I didn't know how you did it, but I didn't thought that you were going to pull it off. I did. And I was like, you don't
Awesome.
know. I was like, when you tell me something and I make it happen, because I don't want to lose that opportunity. And that was an opportunity. It was me able to go into transition from billing, but to real production coding.
Awesome. Awesome. What an amazing story. Isn't that inspiring, y'all? And that's the thing. I tell people all the time too, we as recruiters, employers, hiring managers, we're going to have 5 applications and they're all going to meet the bill, right? But we are truly looking for the best person that's going to be a change agent. And if I had somebody that came through with a really good acceptance letter, with a really good story, with a really good phone call as to, hey, I just want to let you know this, and this, that is usually the person that we will go for. Because if you have the drive, what that is telling me is how much of a drive you're probably going to have when you start. And that it has to match. You can't say all of that and then when you get started you're like or you're not working. It's not going to work out, right? But even a hire I made yesterday, this person late at night sent us the most beautiful acceptance letter that I've ever seen. And I'm like, I can't even wait for this person to get started. And even when they spoke to my compliance director, they're like, hey, Bertram, the health system? They passed that test. That test is the devil. And if she passed that test,
Yeah.
she is good. And I'm putting all of the connections together. This person is an overachiever. So when they come on board, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to overachieve, and that's exactly what the HR director saw in you. If that person has the guts to call me, has the nerve, my son and I were and mom, we were doing some homework last night. Has the nerve to call and also sell themselves, not just say, hey, you know what? I don't need you to talk to the director for me. I'll call the director myself, and you call the director and you leave the
No,
voicemail.
she,
Wow,
and
speaks
I explained
volumes.
it to her. I explained it to her. You know what? If there's anything you can do, I think I'm a good fit for this position. I'm the person that you needed for that position, and
Nice.
I was always keeping that consistency. We even after they got hired, I was, and I can speak for my manager because my previous manager, her and I, we have a very good, strong relationship. And she even told me when I put my 2 week notice for this new role that I got, she even said I was expecting this a few months ago. I knew it was coming. I knew you were work for something bigger. And she always had me. She always told me that. You are meant for big things. I always see that on you
Correct.
because you always putting yourself out there. You're looking for more. You asking questions. You asking this. You give me. I need feedback, and I'm always like that. Like I need to know more. The more, the better
Correct.
for me. And then that's the only way you can grow by asking questions. Kimberly and I, we could tell you that Kimberly, Gillivan, we talk. Hi, Kimberly, if you're there. Um, we always talk and we always get nervous when the students, because I help her with I'm her TA, and even with Christine Hall, when the students don't ask questions, that's when we come nervous, because you need to ask questions.
And there are
You
going to be a lot of
more
questions with
questions that you
coding.
ask, the better.
Yeah.
And then because
Yes.
that means that you are curious and you want to know and making sure you improve yourself.
Wow, what a gem right there, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you ask questions. Make sure you ask questions. I mean, even just going through the thought process,
Yeah.
not being, let's say, annoying and asking something that's pretty obvious or what makes somebody doubt your experience, but asking those questions because you want to learn. And like for me, like I take things like a sponge. I soak it all in and I will likely not have to ask again because I process it. Okay, now I know how to move and I'm good to go. So if you can have that within your repertoire, it's going to be fantastic. I just want to go to the comments really quick because Christy says that you're a true leader, a
Oh, thank
lady for all
you.
that you've done. What a great story. And you have to know your worth. And you did that when you went on and sold yourself because, man, bringing those people. And I'm telling you, people like Laidy, you have to know, people like Laidy come a few years from now. You see all these organizations, AAPC, AHIMA, watch out now. All of these speakers on the roundup, they're going to be leading some of these organizations, probably presidents. I mean, because they have to change a president every year, every other year. So they're just opportunities. And I'm looking forward to Betty, Kimberly, yourself, Christine Hall. I mean, Sonia, all of you. I'm looking forward to all of you doing amazing things. Victoria Mole, you as well, right? I'm looking forward to
And
all of
no,
you.
and then Christy just said right now, it's all about the why, right? It is true. When
True.
you understand, I think that takes you back to that foundation. Knowing your why, knowing the reasons why you're doing what you're doing, it's crucial. I think for me, like now that I'm speaking more and people want the people to know, because those, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going back to my origin, my roots, right? I'm so proud of where I become from, because if I tell you, like, I shared that I came from Mexico, but I'm from a very small town, rural town. I'm not even from the city. Like, I'm from Zacatecas in Mexico, right? But it's a very rural area, very small. I think the maximum of population is 600 people there. That's how
Wow.
small it is. So where schools are only one classroom per
Per
grade. It's only
grade.
small, six classrooms. That's how small the town is. So going back and then knowing I'm true to my roots. I'm proud of where I become, because if sometimes I tell my, even one day I was talking to Christina, I was like, if I tell you where I really come, one day I'm gonna show you my small little town, even where I grew up. It's like you won't believe it. You won't think that,
Yes.
wow, but I'm proud of that, because it was hard. It was the struggles, but those struggles make the person that I am now.
Today, yes.
My dad was such a role model for me. He was, we talk about that. I post a lot of things about motivation, inspirational, and then
Mm-hmm.
all those things comes because I have someone as a man. Like, my dad was my biggest role model, right? So he was such an amazing um, human being, so generous. So I learned all those things from him. And then even though I don't think, I always say, like, I don't think I get closer to my father because it's so hard to even fill his shoes. I'm always
Correct.
trying to put in the world what he kind of showed me how to be. And he one time told me, and I'm gonna say it in Spanish because if people are saying it, people, and I will translate it. He used to tell me, si vas a hacer las cosas, hazlas bien, si no, mejor no las hagas. So if he would say, if you're going to do the things right, do it right from the start, otherwise don't even go in there.
Don't do it at all. That's right.
Don't do it at all. Don't even think about it. Do it right from the start. And he always, that resonates with me, because anything you do in life, you have to do it right. You have to know why you're doing it, and that always stays with me, and always stay with me. And that's the reason why I do what I do, because I do want to, if my story can help others, I want to be the person they say, you know what, if she can do it, even though she came from Mexico, I can do it too. Why not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, you're doing a fantastic job. Now, I wanna pivot really quickly because you shared with me a little bit earlier about how you were able to get this supervisor role from being a coder. This is an amazing story. If you're not going to be inspired by this and how I tell you the power of not just networking, but making a genuine connection and building a relationship with people in your industry or in your office, listen to this. How did this happen? So you're working as a coder, right? And what happened?
So I'm working as a coder, and then I can tell you really very before I start saying it, always pay attention of how you present yourself. That's one.
Mm,
That's another thing you always have to see. What you put in the world, how you present, how you conduct yourself, the things that you put in social media matters. People are watching you. People are seeing how you talk, how you comment, what you put. If you're always positive, but if you always keep the same, because it has to be the way you are, right? So
correct.
I make this connection. My current manager, we work together as a local chapter officer. So I'm a local chapter officer. So she was my president, and then she stepped down, and I still stay on as an officer. So moving forward, 2 years later, she calls me, and she's like, "Hey, and she's now the manager for this organization. So she's like, I'm looking for more coders, coder two, coder three." And I was like, well, that would be great because I'm a coder one, so that could be a good opportunity. But I was so busy. I told her I was going to apply. I didn't do it. And then a month later, right? Who wouldn't miss opportunities like those? Maybe just me, lady. But I was just so busy. I was like, yes, I'll do it. And I forgot because, with school, kids, and everything, I just forgot. So a month later, she calls me. And then she sent me a text message, and she's like, hey, now I didn't see your application. I was like, oops, I forgot. I'm sorry. But she's like, you're still interested? I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And she's like, but let me tell you, I'm now looking for a coding supervisor. And I was like, okay. So I was like, that sounds appealing. I was like, but in my head, I was like, am I ready? Am I ready to transition to supervisor? I know I was a building manager for 3 years, but I never managed a bigger group. I mean, we're talking about a group of more than 10 coders in that department that I had to kind of supervise. So I was like, it was intimidating. So there were so many questions
Mm.
that came into my head. I was like, would I be good enough for this position? Are my skills are good enough? What am I supposed to be doing? And then,
Mm.
I have a very good support system because I always ask my kids what do they think. I don't make decisions. My kids are already teenagers, so I do rely on them and then to maybe kind of guide me. And then sometimes though they're my whispering voices that I have to help me out. So I asked my son. He's the one is 16 years old, and he's like, Mom, what are you waiting? That girl is literally telling you that she's looking for a coding supervisor. Are you reading between the lines? She
Lines. Yep,
wants
he's picking it
you.
up.
And then I was like, okay. So I applied, we went to that whole transition, and then I was very nervous. I was like, okay. Um, then I got the job. Then later on, I find out from another colleague that she works. She's another manager from a different department, and we were talking, and she's like, "Oh no, you were hired before you were hired." I was like, "What?" She's like, "Because it's the way you are. Because you align with the organization's
Organization.
vision and mission. The values that they're seeking on someone is that we might have probably more candidates that have more experience as a supervisors, but
Hmm.
your vision, the way you are, is what we want for this position." And I was like,
Goodness,
oh,
ladies and gentlemen, did you even get that? Let's just rewind really quick. So you're working as a coder, but at the same time you're involved in your local association. This person happens to be the president of that chapter. Get involved in
yeah,
your association if you haven't done this already. I keep on telling people they're not listening, but hopefully somebody will do it, right? And that's what Kimberly did too. Kimberly Williams, she was just being part of her association, and before you know it, that person was looking for an opportunity. She wasn't even really applying, wasn't even looking,
no,
but she, just like you, had the job. You didn't even need to apply. You applying was just a confirmation of things because they already knew you. Even all the other managers, people in the office were like, yeah, Lady would be fantastic. I'd love to work with her in this position. Because what's the worst thing? The worst thing is that you can hire negativity or the wrong person. And I've had those people, and it's so funny. They were so negative. They so hated their job. They so hated me. You lay them off, they're doing, they're crying. Oh, what am I
yeah,
going to do? You didn't like working here. You hate me. And I asked my boss, and my boss said, I'm staying. So I guess you got to go. And it's like, if you just look back and if you tried your best, it could have all worked out. But not about them. It's all about you, lady. Like, how is that not powerful? And
yes,
just like
and
you said, even before that, just the way you present yourself and you treat
yeah,
people, it resonates with people. Your
it
energy goes up
resonates.
before you.
That's what I'm always telling people. Always be mindful, be intentional, be careful how you conduct yourself because everything stays on social media. And
Yep.
if you're thinking, oh, it doesn't even matter if you are not putting something related to healthcare, even if you're in your own personal social medias, because then you can have, I use LinkedIn a lot for professional, right? But I also share here and there things about my personal stories and, stories that they can uplift others. Like a few months ago, I shared something about my son. My son, he's a 16-year-old playing soccer for Alcamo since he was 4 years old. And then
Wow.
I shared that he was so disappointed that he didn't make it to the JV team because that was his first year on freshman. And I told him, don't give up, don't give up. If you're good and your talent will show. Your talent will show. At the
Hmm.
end of the day, before at the half of the season for soccer, they call him up, they move him up to JV. And I said, what did I
Nice.
tell you? That's it. Like you don't want to give up because you never know. Even if you get a small role, be creative with those small roles. I People when I was with the primary care, um, I used to do everything. I wear all the hats, right? And even my coworkers were telling me, the doctor is taking advantage of you. I was like, yes, I know that. I'm not dumb. I know she's taking advantage because I'm literally being office manager and I don't get paid as an office manager. And I said, but it's only gonna be last until I stay here. Once I go out the door and I move, that knowledge goes with me because she's not gonna keep it. I'm going. It stays on my head. So, yes, she might be taking advantage and to some extent, but the one is benefit from it at the end of the day is going to be me. Because
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
walk the door, I got all the knowledge. So now it's that one is being the same with me for years already.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, man. Hey, lady, you've been fantastic for this roundup. So inspirational. I mean, I may have like 2 weeks of clips to snippet to share because next week I'm going to be traveling on site, so I may extend some of these into next week. But yeah, I mean, really great. What would you like to say in parting and just as a last final message for the audience? And this is not going to be the last time you're going to see Lady. We are going to have the Roundup Season 2.0, likely more evening sessions, and all of that probably during or right after the summer. Okay. But what would you like to say until then, Lady?
I think I would say to people, all not just to Latinas. I'm speaking to every single person that is watching this and then find themselves that how do I transition, or especially if you're a new coder, don't hang yourself so much into your A status, especially those ones that have the A status. Don't think too much about the A status. You're still a coder. You're not no different than myself that I have multiple credentials. You went through the exam. Give some grace to yourself. But with that said, make sure you do you're determined, you put the work, and you keep fighting, you keep looking, and don't give up until you find your American dream, because the American dream happens to everyone. I'm
Correct.
living it. I'm a testament that it's happening, and then if I'm able to do it, anyone else can do it too.
Wow. Wow. The American dream. Make your own dream come true. Hey, lady, we appreciate you. I just want to go to the comments really quickly.
Sure.
Christy said that he's had such a heartwarming story. She loves you for this. That lady wanted you to succeed. I think she's talking about your manager that saw
Yes.
you as being a supervisor. And I even had some of that insecurity as well. Hey, I've never managed people before, and maybe some of that showed, but I had a really good two mentors that, I mean, had plenty of experience, and they allowed me to take my licks and lick my wounds, but it helped me grow because now I have my own little organization. And soon within us starting, I did have to lay somebody off, but guess what? That second layoff was a lot smoother. I actually got a comment from that person on Monday morning. I dropped off my son to school. They said, Bertram, that was the best layoff I've ever had. And people are wondering why I'm still talking to you. And I'm like, it's all good. Like, we don't have to be the trauma that's out there in the marketplace. And it wasn't about her, it wasn't about us. It just wasn't the right opportunity for her, So you did so fantastic. And Elizabeth says that, lady, you're such an inspiration to all Latinas and to all women who do not think they are good enough. Oh my goodness. I mean, Patsy says that you always have the uplifting attitude.
I try.
And Chrissy says that she loves your dad, and that's her saying too, about do it well once or don't do it at all. And that just makes you bring up your level or your expectations a lot higher because you are your biggest critic. I hate to see you go, but I know you gotta go. I know you have things to do. She has employees, at least 10 or so, and she has emails, she has things she has to do. We love and we appreciate you, lady. You did wonderful today. Thank you for being on the roundup, and we will be in touch, okay?
Thank you so much, Bertrand, for having me. And I'm, very happy that a lot of people make great comments and they love my story. And I hope that they can apply those tips that I give them, into their lives, and be amazing too.
Awesome. Thank you. We're gonna let you get back to work, and see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen, isn't that so inspiring? And that's what I love about the roundup, because we're really able to take people who have either been through the experiences or have had the experiences. And what's really interesting about the marketplace is that the marketplace will make you feel like you're the only entry-level coder. You're the only person that wants this job. You're the only person that wants to go from coder to auditor to manager, or have all of those insecurities. But that is so not the case. And what I love about the roundup is that talking with other subject matter experts, they've actually been down there. Some of them have been sued, some have been laid off, some of them have been, talked down to or discriminated against, or, made fun of their English or their language. But they take all of that as fuel to push them forward. One thing I want to say inspirational to each and every one of you. If I didn't happen to see it, but I was told this is what happened. Michael Jordan was getting his Hall of Fame, award or whatever. And, he didn't mention Scottie Pippen. He didn't mention at first, he didn't mention, Phil Jackson, the coach that really helped him with the Bulls to be, a 5-time or 6-time champion. He didn't mention all those people. Do you remember who he mentioned? He mentioned the coach that cut him or didn't let him make that JV team. He remembers that guy still to this day, still after his billionaire status and the Jordan brand and selling Nike and all of these things, and owning a team and selling the team and all the success. He still remembers the person that cut him. He took it personal. And he used that to fuel, or as fuel, every time he had a difficulty. He still had, I think if I talk to Jordan today, he'll still have that chip on his shoulder. Because sometimes that is exactly what we need. And I do not wish for anybody to experience discrimination or any of those things, but you know what? If you can use it to a better way and to inspire others, that's really what it's all about, to be the change that we want in the world. Wow. Melissa says, thank you for a great roundup. I appreciate you being here. Laidy's truly amazing. Angela, thank you as well. Jeanette, thank you for joining. Congratulations on your recent credential degree. I think you had one of those. Sorry, a lot of posts. My mind is jumbling, but thank you for being here. Katina also says, thank you, Laidy, as well, for sharing your amazing story. Christy as well, and all of that stuff. Christy has another question. She says, well, how could anyone hate you, Bertram? You know what it was about that employee? She didn't hate me. She just wanted, I feel, the position that I had. Maybe she felt I was inexperienced and she didn't really like my background, whatever the case may be. You know what? If you're that person that wants that job, try your best to help that manager be successful. And if you do, maybe as they get to be a director, then they would allow you to be the manager, but starting drama in the workplace, I'm telling you, in today's day and age, people do not have the patience for it. At Renown, we have a no drama policy. I tell all of my employees, if you come here with drama, I'm sorry. Bye, Felicia. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. We're not going to have it because we don't have no time for drama. We're serving our clients. They're depending on us. We're not going to be infighting and talking bad about each other. We're going to call each other up. We're going to help each other. We're going to bring things to awareness so we can, help and train and do what we need to do. But drama has no place in the workplace, y'all. No place in the workplace. And once you bring that, believe me, you're blacklisting yourself. So it was very unfortunate. I really didn't want to do it. We kept that person for over a year, but then we just had to let them go because I was losing my sanity. It was not just affecting my life, it was affecting my family's life. I was coming off work and then going or being home in a not very happy state, and it was just negativity all around. So we just had to do what we had to do. But it's unfortunate, but you know what? It's okay. Bye, Felicia, as they say. All right, so let's get into the next slide. So let's talk about the jobs and opportunities. Okay, as you may or may not have seen this, Renown Talent does have an entry-level credential medical coding with coder role with no experience required. This is a future opening. So if this is you, and if you haven't applied, go to Renown Talent /careers and please apply. This is for future posting and future opportunity. Please stay tuned for more details, okay? Because those who first apply are going to get first dibs on this opportunity. I'm going to be going straight directly to my CRM and sending out the opportunity. It may be local to where you are or where you're not at. It may be remote that we can hire from anywhere. So please apply and have your address and your physical address on your resume because it's going to be pivotal. Okay, but no details to share until we're able to move forward in that. Okay, I did see a few opportunities. Orlando Health has an HIM deficiency analyst at South Seminole Hospital. This might be, this says it's an on-site position. It might be remote. You never know. Might as well go ahead and apply. I see Lori Lee. Martine. She's looking for or her organization is hiring a Profi coding auditor. Go ahead and directly connect with her. Apply. Tell her the roundup sent you. Veronica Richardson, easy to find, unique name. She has a compliance claim integrity specialist position. And Corey Smith, he happened to share this. He's just an appeal specialist, or he hasn't updated his title just yet. It doesn't matter. Reach out to him. Maybe he can connect you. They're looking for an appeal specialist, and this is with one of the pairs. One of the things I like about this is it really shows you coding. You can work for a hospital, you can work for a vendor, you can work for a pair. There are AI companies and IT companies in this space right now with a lot of their AI or their automated coding solutions. There are a lot of employers, so it's much larger than healthcare, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, cool. All right, so they asked Mr. B question today, and that is, should I become specialized in medical coding? This question came up because I identified a candidate that would be perfect for a job that one of our clients have. But when I reached out to them, I saw that they were extremely, extremely specialized. Like they've worked at one provider office or provider group for over 12 years. Fantastic. They've done coding, they've done auditing, they've even done some lead and trained other people. They have all of that. But unfortunately, to their detriment, they only have specialized experience within one specialty. And Bertram, what would you say to that? That's fantastic if that specialty is hiring across the board. So my advice to that person, perhaps even to you, is to try your best to get multi-specialty experience. And this can be accomplished by doing a part-time position. If you're able to get a contract or part-time position while also you're working a full-time position, so you get some of that multi-specialty experience, it's going to be fantastic, because then you can kind of dive in, or at least have that experience to put it with your 12 years of that specialized experience. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be specialized in interventional radiology, inpatient, cardiology. I'm not saying that, but you want your best to have as much multi-specialty experience, or at least have multi-specialty experience before you become extremely specialized. Because what happens, what if that dermatology office lets you go? What if your job gets outsourced? What if you cannot get a job? Then you may only be best for another job that has that or is requiring that exact experience. So I'm not saying that this is a detriment, but if you don't have that multi-specialty experience, for those who are extremely specialized, you're going to want to have that. Also, for those who are extremely specialized, let's say in doing inpatient, but you've done outpatient, you've done ED in the past, I would encourage you to get or try your best to retain some of that experience any which way you can, through your employer or through a contract or through a vendor. Bertram, why would you say that? Because once again, you do not want to lose that experience, especially for the inpatient coders. I know some of them, they have done inpatient, outpatient, and ED. They did it for years, but within the last few years, their employer has only had them do inpatient. Guess what's happening to the outpatient and ED? They're losing it, because they're not doing it at all, right? They're not getting that experience. They're not keeping those skills sharp. So I would encourage each and every one of you, try your best to keep your skills sharp, and working a contract, working a part-time job can be the perfect way for you to do that. Yes, I know not everybody's hiring part-time, but if you can't find it, or if you can work out a deal, that can be fantastic. Okay, cool. All right, the talent showcase. This is where we're going to showcase anyone that's currently looking for an opportunity. We do have recruiters and hiring managers that do watch the roundup just for this. So if you can, go ahead and put in some of your information, that'll be fantastic. So I think the first one that I saw was from Melissa. Okay, Melissa is a CPCA. She's in Texas, and she's looking for an entry-level position. Thank you so much. I did see your application for the entry-level position on Renown Talent's website, renowntalent.com/careers. Great job on doing that. Let's see if we have anyone else. Okay, we don't have anyone else. But I do have a couple questions. So Melissa says, thank you for a great roundup. Thank you for being here. Katina also says, thank you for another great roundup. Appreciate you. Elizabeth is asking, Bertram, are you from Haiti? Because my father's from Trinidad and my mother is Brooklyn born, but Jamaican bred. Not in BE. Oh, anyway, you see the spelling. My family's from a little island called St. Lucia. St. Lucia, as a resource, probably most, I would say, famous or popular for some of the bachelor seasons or bachelorette seasons. They had the finales in St. Lucia. And sometimes you would see some of these travel agencies or credit cards that show all the places you can go. They show the pitons, pitons spelled Pitons. There are these two mountains, hills, mountains, I would say, mountains that were built up by volcanic ash. But if you're on a cruise ship, or if you are taking a boat, or if you're even driving in St. Lucia, you go to Sufra and you see those, it is like awesome. It's a UNESCO site and all those great things. But that's where my family's from. I was actually living in St. Lucia up to when I was 14 as a American citizen, and then my mom said it's time for you to go to the States and yeah, chase this American dream for yourself. So it was hard for me to lose my to leave behind and lose my friends and all of that, but I've been chasing this American dream myself, lady. I've been chasing it myself, and I'm still on the path. But now I am being inspired not to just chase my dream, but help the dreams of others. And now my employees become true as well. So that's what we're all about right now. Okay. We have just quickly before we get into the comments, our next roundup session is going to be on the 17th, as I mentioned, next week. Sorry. Next week, I'm going to be traveling, so we can't have the roundup. But the following week, on the 17th, we're going to have Dr. Shakira Moreland. She is the HIM concierge. I think she's like definitely one of the biggest people when it comes to career coaching within coding. So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about her business, how she helps people, and maybe she can share with us some things that help you get unstuck. Okay, so she really helps, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe she really helps and partners with people to help them get unstuck. Let's say they're transitioning from one career to medical coding revenue cycle, how they can do that. That's what she's about. She's also one of the people that works with the Qualified. The Qualified, if I mentioned to you before, it's a local woman-owned business, but what they do is they do a lot of those things, whether that be CEs, testing for credentials, and career coaching and all of that stuff, job placement. I think they even do some of that. So that is fantastic. Melissa has a question. Let's just answer this live. Should I work on other credentials while I'm looking for my first coding position? Absolutely. Okay. If you can get other credentials while you are currently a CPCA, I would encourage you to go ahead and do it. Why not, right? If you just have time, you're applying to positions, and if you're also getting involved in your local chapter, do it. And some of these chapters, you can even be highly involved, as most of the meetings they're having are virtual. Some of the meetings are being taken on site, right? But if you can make those few meetings, I think May is like a big month for a lot of in-person meetings. But so most of them are being done virtual, so you can participate and help out virtually. Okay. Melissa says that she's big on education and wondering what she should do next. Maybe CPB. What do you think? I think you should connect with people that currently have those credentials and ask them a question. Okay, and maybe it's somebody that you saw in the roundup. I believe Laidy did share. Let's go back to the slides. I believe Laidy did share that she did have that CPB. Let's go back. Yeah, she has it. So she would be someone that you can ask a question about. Hey, I'm looking into this. I'm thinking about this. What do you think? And the reason why that's important, because I can tell you as much advice as I know, but why not connect with somebody that currently has it? Maybe even if you can search on LinkedIn, somebody local to you, go to LinkedIn, message, look for this credential in your city and state, and find out if you can find somebody local to you and just ask them about it. Maybe they can be your mentor. Maybe they can be a subject matter expert, and maybe they can tell you, run, don't do it. Go and do something else. But that could possibly be a good tool for you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're at the top of the hour. I gotta go. I'm sure you have to go. Remember, as I always say, be renowned and be forgotten. We're going to miss you next week. But if I can just ask each and every one of you, pray for us. We have a very important meeting. But if this meeting goes well, next week, Wednesday, it is going to change the game. Not just for Renowned Talent, but for each and every one of you, and a lot more opportunities for each and every one of you. Hey, hold the phone. Melissa. Elizabeth says that she's a CPB. She's a candidate. She took the class. She just didn't take her test by the end of this month. She's also a CPC. So you should connect with. Hey, Elizabeth, quick question to you. Are you also on LinkedIn? Because if you are, that's where a lot of us are watching the roundup. So if you are on LinkedIn, and I should be connected with you as well. Share with us real quick. I got a second. Elizabeth, Watson. She's on LinkedIn. So Melissa, connect with Elizabeth and ask her, and the two of you just do that networking thing. What you see? What power does Roundup have bringing these people together? All right, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. If I find you, I'm gonna send you a connection request, and we'll talk a little bit later. Be renowned or be forgotten. Angela, thank you for the good luck. We're going to need it. We're all going to need it. Okay. But please pray for us because we are looking to change the industry and we want you to help us change the industry as well. Okay. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.